we a little earlier came up with the idea of obviously Fast Break is a Point Break remake.
Fast and the Furious.
Or sorry, Fast and the Furious is a Point Break remake. And so we were wondering if Point Break got the Fast and the Furious treatment, how would that work out? Meaning, if they had 8 sequels, where do we end up with now? And I just wanted to get your take on that. Like, is that something you could get behind, or should we be writing this stuff down?
Man, I don't know that we could have gotten 8 movies out of Gary Busey at that time. So that's gonna be a tough one. But I'm open to the idea. Like, you can change it to where you have jet skis and speedboats. Like, I'm assuming you kind of have to take to the sea to go get Brody after he goes into the ocean, and Keanu goes, he's not coming back, right? Like, I think that there's a whole thing where you chase him in the ocean. Maybe you get a submarine involved. I know we had submarines in Fate of the Furious, but yeah, you could get. I mean, come on, we can get 8 movies out of Point Break, absolutely,
easily. I mean, does it transition to cars at one point? I mean, do we all of a sudden have Fast and the Furious after like 9 straight movies? I don't know.
Maybe hang gliders, right? Like, they were. This was a movie as much in the air as it was in the sea, and so I think you can get all kinds of hang gliders. Maybe like those weird like wing suits that they had in the 8 Fast and Furious, and they had in like Batman movies. Like, you can get real. Like, you could just have a whole scene of everyone looking like flying squirrels. Like, you can get this thing off the ground.
Producer Christopher Law and myself have a similar affinity for Nick Cage as you do. And so, of course, the question came in, where does Nick Cage fit in this whole Point Break 8 sequel remake? And Chris had the idea he's the Jason Statham, the bad guy who gets rehabbed and then all of a sudden is at Sunday dinners. Could you get in on that?
I love that idea. I would still want him as an always villain. Like, just like, he's essentially Shredder for the Ninja Turtles, right? Like, I just want him always there. I want him like having this weird costume or whatever. Like, what they're doing with Hobbs and Shaw, where apparently Idris Elba is like a supervillain now with like genetically engineered stuff. Like, I want all that treatment for Nick Cage. Like, I love the idea of him coming over and crossing over, and you can do spin-offs and everything. But I think Nick is best as a villain in these situations.
I mean, that's valid. That's definitely valid. How in are you on Hobbs and Shaw?
All the way in. Okay. You could tell me it got a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just going to make me want to watch it more. I watched Rampage and I got emotional. If The Rock's in a movie, I'm in. Like, it might not be good, but it's going to be entertaining. But yeah, I got emotional during this Rampage. I did not expect that.
I still got to check Rampage out. I love that game.
It's on HBO Go, man. It's right there.
Hey, Zach, I got to jump in here. This is Chris. I have to jump in because I also follow you, and I know your big thing on John Wick 3 is you don't want to see the trailer, which I've also adopted to where the other night I was in the movie theaters and had to actually run out of the theater to miss the trailer. Has there been any close calls with you with the John Wick trailer?
No, the only thing so far, obviously when they posted it on Twitter, I had a bunch of people tagging me in it, so I kind of had to scroll past. Yeah. To avoid it, but luckily, I'm full disclosure, I'm a little afraid to go to a movie theater right now because I don't want that scenario. Like, luckily, I always sit on the aisle, so I can run out. But I would do the same thing. I would run out of there. Like, I went into John Wick 1 completely fresh, had no idea what it was, and it's probably my favorite action movie of all time. Like, it's legitimately a great action movie. And then I saw all the trailers for John Wick 2, and I really enjoyed it, but it was a lot of stuff that I'd already seen because of the trailers. And so I just decided going in, like, I'm upset that I saw the picture of him on a horse. Like that's too much information for me at this point. So yeah, like, I get it. If you like trailers and you want to see it, I understand it, but I'm avoiding it for John Wick 3 because I want to go in as fresh as possible.
Well, I mean, you are a pet owner, shout out Boogie. So I understand the getting emotional during Rampage. That's not that weird. Like, I get it.
It was. I mean, it was a weird reaction where I went, "Oh no!" I was watching it by myself, and I said that out loud, and I thought, like, what a weird reaction to have to this CGI gorilla. It was just like, it's not my proudest moment, but I'll own it.
Yeah, no shame, man.
It's totally fine.
Zach Harper of The Athletic, the Count the Dings podcast network, and Twitter, and movie critic. I mean, the guy's a jack of all trades. Thank you so much, man. This was a ton of fun. You're the best, man.
Anytime, guys.